learn how to create a track of where you go and then add waypoints of important spots and then share it quickly and easily with the people that need it the most using MapPlus. Hi, I'm Tim Hunter. I'm a hiker, a paddler, climber, and I've been doing that for over 20 years in the northwest corner of Connecticut. And I work with local land trusts, foresters, and the Rail Trail Association here in the local area. And one of the things that I get asked a lot is, how do you walk in the woods without trespassing on somebody else's land? How do you know where the borders of a property are? How can I find stuff in the woods and mark it? And also, how do I send a track of where I walked to a land trust or an association or whoever would be in charge of keeping track of that information for things like land monitoring? So I have been, over the last 15 years, using various and sundry apps on my cell phone to figure out where I am in the woods on a hiking trail, and to locate things like survey bounds and markers and old fences and stone walls. And I've gone through about 5 or 6 of them, and I've loved some, I've hated some, and most recently I found something that I wanted to share with you today. It's a program called MapPlus, and it is by far the best app for not only navigating in the woods, but also making amazing, detailed documentation of stuff in the woods and sending that information very easily to people that need it the most. So I'd like to go ahead and take you with me on a brief mock trip that I'm going to do. I have some apple trees on a trail here, and I'm going to mark where they are and where I walked, and then I'm going to send it to someone important that wanted the information. And along the way, I'm going to document how I used the app, and then walk you at a very basic way through getting everything done and in an email. And in future posts, I'm going to do a lot more cool stuff. But this is just going to be the basics for the vast majority of people out there that just want to get something done and they just need a little bit of help. So we're at the start of our journey here, and the first thing we want to do is go ahead and grab our phone and go ahead and open up MapPlus, and then there's a button in the center of the bottom screen that looks like a little arrow, and we're just going to tap that, and then once that happens, it's actually going to turn on the GPS and show your location. It might flash something like Auto Center on. So what that's going to do is it's going to position your current location at the center of the map, and it's going to pan the map to where you are. So now that you've gotten that done, it's time for us to start recording our track so that we can record it and send it off later. And we're going to add some waypoints down the trail as well. So in order to do that, we're going to press that button again, but this time hold it and drag over to more, and then let go. And now when that happens, that's going to give us more information about our current location. It's going to pop up on the top of the screen, and it's going to show some options on the bottom of the screen. The options at the top of the screen are really useful for figuring out, okay, well, am I within 50 feet of this location? Am I 100 feet from this location? And GPS is accurate to around 16 feet, I think. So the better the accuracy, the more accurate your waypoints and your GPS track are going to be. So that's something to think about. But down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there are options for turning off location, and there are options for recording a track and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's go ahead and click on the record button, and that's going to start recording our track as we walk through the woods. And now that we've done that, obviously technology and the woods are kind of not quite in a very good relationship, so I always just try to keep my cell phone in my pocket as much as possible and enjoy the woods when I'm walking. And when I need to, I'll pull out the cell phone. You're not going to hurt anything by turning off your iPhone and putting it in your pocket. It's still going to record as you move, and when you need it, you can pull it out. So let's do that. So now, just to let you know, as we're walking through the woods, we've got the map open now. I pulled it out of my pocket, and you can see on the map as you walk through the woods that your current location is being displayed, and there's a little line drawn on the map showing you a track of where you've been. This is really great for when you're in the woods and you're like, okay, I'm lost and I need to get back to the car. Where the heck do I go? Well, you've got a current track of where you're going, so all you have to do is follow the track back home. So that's very nice. Okay, so we've been walking for a bit, and it looks like up here we have our first apple tree. So we want to grab our iPhone and go ahead and pull up the map, and now we see our position, we see our track, and we want to let's add a photo waypoint. So in order to do that, we're going to use that button in the middle again. And this time we're actually going to press and hold and drag up to the camera spot and then let go. And now, once we do that, it's going to bring up a camera viewport so that we can frame our photo and take a picture of our apple tree. Once we take it, it'll show us the picture we took, and it'll ask us whether we want to retake it or whether we want to keep it. So we're going to keep it, and now it pops back with the map and a little info box about that photo waypoint. So it's going to tell you things like where it was, what heading you were pointing when you took the photo, and a bunch of other interesting things about the camera. And in order to get rid of that, there's a little X at the bottom right of the box. You can just click off it and you're back to your map, and you can see on your map there's a little icon that's actually the icon of the photo you just took on the map now. And so you can pinch to zoom out of the map, you can pan and zoom in, and you'll always know, okay, I've just walked this area and this is the spot that I found the apple tree, and this is what it looks like. So let's keep going. I'm sure there's more apple trees around here somewhere. So you can take photo waypoints or you can take regular waypoints. So what's the difference? Well, a regular waypoint is just a position on the map, and you can add text and details and anything you want, and it records it in that location on the map. A photo waypoint is the same thing, but with a photo, and you can even add a video as well. So either or, photos take up more space, and so do videos. So when in doubt, just go ahead and use regular waypoints and add a description. But if you really need it, photos are there. Pretty sure there's another apple tree around here somewhere. Well, that's weird. Huh. Somebody set up a hammock here. So if you're a land trust member, maybe a volunteer, and you're surveying a property or monitoring a property, and you see something like maybe a deer stand or something like that you're not really sure whether it should be there or not, hey, let's add a waypoint. Maybe they need to know about this. So go ahead and open up your iPhone and do the same thing. Tap on the center button on the bottom and press and hold. Instead of sliding up this time, we're going to hold and slide over to waypoint and then let go, and it's just created a waypoint for us. So now, in order to add details about this information, obviously waypoints are nice, you see it on the map and that's great, but you don't know what this waypoint is, so let's add a description. Now after you hit create waypoint, it dropped it on the map, and now it shows details of that waypoint, and the details are completely useless. So down at the bottom, just like on the photo waypoint, there's a little bunch of buttons, and one of them is details. Now if you click on details, it's going to take you to its own separate page where you can actually look in more detail about that particular waypoint, and it's still useless. So let's go ahead and click on edit at the bottom. Now when you click on edit, it'll allow you to change pretty much everything you possibly ever want to do about that particular waypoint. You can change the icon, you can change the name, the description, you can add notes, you can add special HTML notes to make it more pretty, you can add images and videos, and this we're just going to click on the description and change this to found hammock. And there we go. So once you're done, click on done, and it saves it. And then go ahead and click on the lower left-hand corner of the screen to the map little arrow, and we're done. Okay, so here's that last apple tree. So let's go ahead and add a photo waypoint of this. And again, in Map Plus, click on the center button at the bottom, hold, and slide up over the camera button, and let go. And now we've got our viewpoint for taking a picture. Take a picture, use this, and now in the section that comes up, that pops up, we're just going to go ahead and change it by clicking edit, and then in the edit button, in the edit section, go ahead and change the description or any other information you need, and then click on save, I think, and then click down at the bottom to go back to your map, and then keep walking. Okay, so looks like we finished our journey. We have recording a track of our position. We have a couple of waypoints that we created along the trail, some photo waypoints, some regular waypoints, and now all we need to do is save that track and go home. So go ahead and bring up your iPhone, open Map Plus, and now go ahead and tap that center bottom button again, and tap and hold and slide to the left. And that's going to bring up your current position information just like beforehand. And on the bottom you'll see that there's a little button called save. When you tap that, it's going to save your current track, and that's going to save to your iPhone, and we can deal with that later. So now that your current track is saved, it's important to remember to turn off your GPS as well. Like I said beforehand, GPS takes up battery, just sucks the battery out of your phone. So go ahead and turn off the GPS. It's going to be the same thing. Tap and hold the center button at the bottom, slide to the left to get more the current location information, and now instead of hitting save, we're going to hit the location off button over at the left. So once we do that, it's going to turn off the GPS usage for Map Plus, and we are all set. We've got a saved track, we've got a couple of waypoints, some regular, some photo waypoints, and we're ready to go. Very important, this step, because if you don't save your track now before you get to the car, you're going to end up getting home and then opening up Map Plus and saying, wait a second, I didn't walk 25 miles. Well, how did that happen? Well, I forgot to save the track at the end of the trailhead, and the track is 10 times longer than it should be. This can be fixed fairly easily in Map Plus. I'm not going to go over it now. I'll go over it in future tutorials, but just remember that it's important to stop your track before you get in the car. And on that note, let's go home and go ahead and email this important information to whoever it is. Okay, so we're home now, and we need to go ahead and figure out a way to send the data that we recorded on our iPhone through MapPlus to whoever it is that needs to have it. So in order to do this, we're going to show you another feature, which is the Tools button at the bottom. Go ahead and click on the Tools button, and then click on User Data. So User Data is a folder where everything you create on your map is stored. So you can not only see it on the map, but you can also see it in a list in User Data. So in User Data, you can scroll down and see, I think I probably have about 600 or 800 items in here. You can organize it into folders, you can do all sorts of other crazy things that I won't go over now. But in User Data, you're going to see the track that you just created and saved, and you're going to see the waypoints that you created. So what we're going to do is go ahead and select those items, and we're going to email them to our friend who needs this information desperately. So what you need to do is, at the bottom right-hand corner, go ahead and tap on the Select button, and instantly you see there are now checkboxes next to all of the items in the list. So now go ahead and check off the items that you want, namely that track and those waypoints. And once that's done, there's another button at the bottom, Share. Once you tap on Share, it's going to ask you where do you want to share it to. You could easily do this, share it to OneDrive or Google Drive or anything like that to store it in the cloud. Or you can click on Email. And we're going to go ahead and email this. So tap on Email. And now there's going to be, for people that are using this for the first time, there's going to be a box that pops up. It's going to say this feature is a paid add-on for the app, and it's going to ask you to pay for it. And it's as simple as just clicking, pay for this, and going through the procedures of paying I think it's $3 to pay for this in-app feature. The feature allows you to not only send just one thing from MapPlus, which you could perfectly easily do, but it allows you to select a whole bunch of things and email it as well. So I highly recommend, for $3, it's a no-brainer. Go ahead and buy it, and once you bought it, go back and you'll see that it's purchased in the settings of the app. And if it takes you back to the map, just go ahead and tap on that tools icon at the lower left, and then User Data to get back to where you were. And if you're in the list, go ahead and hit the Select button at the bottom, and then check off the ones that you want, and then click on Share at the bottom. And once you've gotten there, tap Email. And once that's done and you've purchased that add-on, you will get options for sharing. And this is one of the extremely powerful features of this app, is it allows you to send the data that you've collected in about 1 billion different ways. So I always use something called KML or KMZ. That's Keyhole Markup Language. It's Google file format for Google Earth. If you've never heard of it, I highly recommend Googling it. Google Earth is what I use for a lot of map work, and it's a great way to share map information. So I choose KMZ. That's a compressed format. It allows you to not only send the location information in a text format, but it also allows you to add those photo waypoints. And without it, you would send the information, but your photos and videos that you may have attached to the waypoints will be missing. So I always choose KMZ. And now the next thing I want to just remind everybody, when they use this app, these phones take fantastic photos. And they are really great, but they're also really big. And there's nothing more frustrating than having someone send you 20 photo waypoints, and all of the photos are massive, and it ends up being something like a 50 or 60 megabyte file sent through email. And for those with slow internet connections, myself not included, but lots of other people on slow data networks on their cell phones and things like that, try to stay away from that, and I'll show you the way to do that. Go ahead and make sure KMZ is selected, and then scroll down to the bottom of the export page, and at the bottom you'll see there is a compress images switch. Go ahead and switch that on. What that's going to do is it's going to take all those beautiful photos and it's just going to shrink them down a little bit so that they're much more manageable for emailing. Once that's done, it's going to remember that, so you don't have to do that again. Go ahead and tap on Next. And once that's done, now you have an email that popped up. Okay, so go ahead and type in the person you want to send it to, and click on Send. And there it goes. So now my friend has that. Actually, I just emailed it to myself. So now that's back, we're at the list spot, and you're wondering, what do I do now? Well, at the bottom of the list spot, you can see we're still selecting the items that we just shared. So we're done with that. So go ahead and click on Done. And then once you're done with that, you're still in the list box. So go ahead and tap Map at the lower left-hand corner of the screen to get back to the map. So now you're done. You've recorded your track, you've recorded your waypoints, and you've emailed those to your friend. And that is the end of the very basics of MapPlus. I highly recommend it for anybody in the fields of land trust monitoring, any forestry, any wildlife biology projects, real estate. I mean, the list is like a mile long. So it's cheap, it's fairly easy, and hopefully I'll have more tutorials on the more advanced features of MapPlus that a lot of surveyors and foresters and wildlife biologists and things like that, they would really like to find out about on MapPlus as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.